Hello Edgewood families, thank you so much for signing up to care for our garden this summer. I'm just going to explain what we have growing here, how to take care of it, and how to know when and how to harvest it. So we have 3 garden beds in the front of the school, and then we have an herb wall in the back of the school. So I'm going to start at the front and show you what we have. So of course things will look different depending what week of the summer you're signed up for. So at the end of the summer things will be a lot bigger, and certain things will be only harvested in the beginning of the summer and certain things will only be harvested at the end. So let me go over that. Okay, so first I'm going to talk about weeding. Weeding's not as important once the plants are bigger, like they should be by the time that you are in the garden. But I'll show you just kind of how to weed. Okay, so this is one of our tomato plants. So the plants, I did my best to label all of them with these little white tags. This is a potato over here. So basically the bigger plants you'll know are not the weeds, they're the ones that we planted. But you can see there's like a lot of kind of grass around, so you can kind of pull this up. And we have like these little purpley weeds that kind of grow through the hay here. So just picking those out. The hay that we have down here is supposed to keep the weeds down, but it still grows through. But yeah, that's basically how you're weeding. And then you can either throw the weeds in the dumpster in the back of the school, or I kind of just have like a pile going here that I'll deal with when I come back. And you don't really have to worry about the rest of the habitat. There are definitely a lot of grasses that grow through the wood chips, but we're focusing on the garden beds. Okay, so as I'm facing the school, I'm going to start with the garden bed on the left side. This is one of our rectangle garden beds, and I'll just real quick go over what we have growing here. So in the very front corner, this is a mum, which will have flowers in the fall. So this plant we're just going to leave here. You don't have to do anything with that. And then we have 3 tomato plants. I did my best to label them, but we have this one here growing in this tomato cage. This is a golden tomato. And then we have in these other 2 tomato cages, this one, which is a slicer tomato, and then this one, which is a purple tomato, I believe. So those just kind of make sure that they're staying within the center, the part that's growing straight up. And then, of course, you can harvest tomatoes when they're ready, when they start to either they're all red, or they're all yellow, or they're all purple, depending on which one. And then we have a couple little chard plants. So we have this one right here, this one right here, and this one over here with the red stems. So you can kind of eat this at any time. You could even take the leaves now, or you could wait for them to get like maybe the size of your hand. And the way that you're going to do this is take the biggest leaves off that are growing on the outside. So on this one, I would take maybe this leaf and this leaf, but I would leave the smaller ones and the one in the center because that will keep growing into new leaves. And then the other thing we have growing in this bed is potatoes. So the idea originally was that this whole half of the garden bed would be potatoes, but when kids were planting, a couple potatoes also ended up on this end. So the potatoes are these ones that the leaves look like this. So we got like some right here, and right here. They're growing kind of close to the tomatoes, but you don't really have to do anything with the potatoes. We're gonna have the kids harvest them in the fall when school comes back. So it's okay if they start to look like they're dying and the plants are falling over and all that, because the potatoes that are underground are still good. So they're actually will store there until we're ready to dig them up in the fall with the kids. So that's super easy. And then this is another mum plant, which you don't have to worry about. So that's what we have. And maybe you can see over here our tomatoes. We had a potato end up over here, and over here. So yeah, don't worry about those too much. That's for this bed. Okay, so on the other side, we have this hex bed here. In the middle, this stick looking thing is actually a blueberry plant, which hopefully will grow, might take a couple years. So we're ignoring that for now. And the other thing we have growing here is lettuce. So this lettuce here, we have already harvested from a couple times, but it's still doing great. This side has lettuce planted, but it hasn't come up yet. So hopefully we'll have lettuce throughout the summer. Once this one dies, this one will still be good. So I'm gonna show you how to harvest this lettuce. It grows pretty thickly together, so there's not really a lot of weeds. There's a little bit of grass on the side, but that's fine. So basically, in order to have the lettuce keep growing after we harvest it, we don't want to cut off like the middle of the plant like this. We want to take the leaves from the outside. So if I take this plant for example, I can just use my fingers to break off the leaves on the side like this, and that is a nice piece of lettuce you could take home, make a nice salad with it. I would leave like maybe about this much at least on the plant, and if we do that, it will keep growing. If we don't harvest it, it will the plant will die pretty soon, so it's good to keep harvesting it. So we have all this lettuce here and that one tiny one right there, so hopefully this will go throughout the summer, but we'll see. Okay, and lastly, in the front of the school, we have this last garden bed on the right side. So we have these mum plants just like on the other side. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we have some of our veggies growing in the middle. So this right here is a pepper plant, and this one is too. They have little flowers right now, so we should be getting pepper fruits in a while. And this one is a red bell pepper, and this one is a banana pepper. So the red one, you can just take off the pepper fruits as soon as they get red, and then the banana one, once they turn yellow, that's how you know it's good to pick. And then on the other side, we have a couple things here. This is kale. So we have a couple kale plants right here, here. We have this little one here. I did my best to label all the plants in the garden. So just like the lettuce, when we're harvesting the kale, you can maybe wait a little while for these guys, but you want to leave the tiny little part that's growing in the middle there, because these little ones will grow into bigger leaves, and you can just kind of break off the ones that are growing on the side. So like this one is a good size. That's how big I would harvest it. So you can either use your nail, or if you want to bring scissors with you or something. And there's your kale. You could take it home and enjoy it. We do have some weeds in here, so these are like little grasses. So you can pull these up if you'd like. They're not really getting in the way of the plants too much, but it definitely looks nicer. And we also have these other little weeds, some clover. And then moving over this way, we have this eggplant right here, also labeled, and it has this little flower on it, which will hopefully turn into a fruit. So once the eggplant turns totally purple, then that's how you know it's good to harvest, and you can just pick the fruit and take it home. And then this over here is a broccoli. There's no broccoli flower on there yet, so we'll see how this one does. But once it looks like a broccoli that you would find at the grocery store, you can just cut that off, and it might grow another broccoli flower as well. So yep, there's our broccoli, and that's everything that we got in this bed here. Okay, so for watering, I would only say water the plants if it's a really dry week with no rain, or if it's super hot and the soil looks really dry. So for watering, there's a watering can that is stored on this, which is the left side of the stairs, right here. And real quick, show you how to do this. We do have our rain barrel and our faucet over here. So if the rain barrel is full, you can just open it. Try not to move the tube part, and you can put the whole watering can in here, dunk it until it fills up, and then just be sure to close this so it doesn't get any mosquitoes or anything in there. If it's not full, or if you don't want to do that, you can just use the hose right here. You don't need a key for this one, so turn it on, fill it up, and make sure it's turned all the way off before you leave, so it's not dripping at all. And yeah, but only water the plants if it's a really dry week. Other than that, probably don't have to worry too much. And also for the hose, the one on the front of the school here does not need a key. The one in the back of the school where the herb wall does need a key. So if you're going to water the herbs back there, fill up the watering can here, bring it back there, and then just make sure to put it back when you're done in the front here. So let's go check out the herbs. Now I'm in the back of the school next to our 2 herb walls here, and I'll show you what herbs we have. They're all labeled in our little white tags here. So on the left herb wall we got our oregano, thyme, and mint on the top, and then on this bottom row these are all scallions on both sides. So you can wait until they're as big as the scallions that you would see at the grocery store, and then you can just kind of take one and cut it at the bottom and bring it home and do that as they get bigger, or you could just leave them like this. And then underneath our herb wall here we have this other mint plant, so it's hopefully going to be spreading more and getting bigger as the summer goes on. And then on our second herb wall over here, we have more oregano and mint up top, and then we have this sage here. On this side, we have our basil, just one basil plant here. And then this one will be having some flowers growing. And since this is on the herb walls, you actually don't have to do any weeding, which is super nice. And then when you're going to be harvesting, you can do this whenever you want. You can harvest them now, even, so basically you'll just find one of the longer stems and you'll just pinch it off above one of the little leaves like this. You can use scissors or your finger. So I have my herb that I can bring home now, and then if you see, I cut it like right above these 2 little leaves, so then these will keep growing also. And that's how you would pick any of these herbs here. So the mint, oregano, the thyme, and then for the sage and the basil, you can just choose the bigger leaves and take those off to harvest it. So those are all the things we got growing back here. And like I said, if you are wanting to water these, if it gets really dry, sometimes they don't get watered super well when it rains because of these shelves. So you can use the watering can, but you would have to use the hose in the front of the building because the hose back here does not, it needs a key to work. So there's our herbs. Again, thank you so much for signing up to help care for our garden this summer. We all really appreciate it.